Well, if Black Bag was one of the biggest surprises of the year, this was one of the most disappointing. Death of a Unicorn is a brand new 2025 horror comedy directed by Alex Sharfman, starring Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega. And this was probably one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Ever since I first saw the trailer, I said, oh, that looks like a really solid horror comedy from A24 of all studios. So, what happened? Well, let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with the good. And admittedly, there's still some stuff I liked. First of all, Paul Rudd is Paul Rudd in this movie, and he's good at being Paul Rudd. I liked Paul Rudd in this movie. So, points there. You had Paul Rudd in your movie. I'm never going to dislike Paul Rudd in a movie. So, yeah, he goes in the good section. Jenna Ortega as well. Even though she's kind of just playing the characters that she always plays, she's just got a charm about her, and I liked her. And she has really good chemistry with Paul Rudd. They play father and daughter in this movie, which is a really odd pairing, but it oddly works for an absurdist A24 horror comedy. So, yeah, points there. I like Jenna Ortega. Really great chemistry with Paul Rudd. And then you had two supporting characters. First, you got Will Poulter, and this guy feels like he's in a completely different movie than everybody else, but Will Poulter got his start in comedy. I'm really glad to see him back in a comedy. I know Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was a semi-comedy, but he wasn't very comedic in it, and it was easily the most melodramatic of the Guardians trilogy. But regardless, I really liked Will Poulter in this movie. Like I said, feels like he's in a completely different movie. He feels like he's in the movie that this movie was marketed to be, but I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, loved Will Poulter. Really fun, insane energy. He's just in the background of this movie, just snorting unicorn horns like it's cocaine. It was a really fun performance. Really absurd, fun performance from Will Poulter. Then you got Anthony Carrigan. Easily my favorite part about this movie is Anthony Carrigan's performance. And like a few people on YouTube have already said, what's great about this performance from Anthony Carrigan is just what he's doing in the background of scenes, what he's doing out of frame. His dialogue delivery, just really, really fun. I really highly enjoyed his performance. He's just in the background doing something absurd. He walks into frame, says something absurd, walks out of frame. He's the focus, says something funny, leaves the scene. Really fun character. I really love Anthony Carrigan. Admittedly, I have not seen Barry. A lot of people said that he's great in that. I know him from Gotham, where he played Victor Zsasz, and he brings a bit of that Victor Zsasz charm and energy to this movie in this character. So yeah, really loved Anthony Carrigan here. Then you got some gore, and the kills in this movie are pretty good. They're not as creative as you'd think a movie about unicorns killing people would be, but the kills were pretty good, and the gore was very over the top, and a lot of the gore was CGI, and usually I don't like CGI gore, but when it's a movie as absurd as this, or a movie as over the top as Renfield, or a movie as absurd as Cocaine Bear, the gore, CGI gore doesn't bother me as much as it does in movies like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, which was just CGI for no reason. But I did like the gore and the kills, as over the top as they were. Really good. And there's a lot of humor in this movie that lands. There's some jokes that, okay, I laughed at them. But that's about all for the good. On to the bad. And yeah, I was just, I don't know what happened here. First of all the other characters in this movie are forgettable. I didn't like any other character in this movie. Richard E. Grant and Tia Leone just completely wasted here. Then another bad thing about this movie is the pacing. I think that this movie's only about an hour and a half, an hour 40 minutes. It feels longer just because, and this leads into the tone of this movie. This movie was marketed as a 100% full-on horror comedy. And while there's some humor in this movie, specifically in the first half, once the unicorns come in and start killing people, it just turns into a full-on horror movie. No more comedy. And I don't know, a movie as absurd as this should have been a full-on horror comedy from beginning to end. And they just don't balance the tone as much as I wanted them to in this movie. And then we're leading on to the messaging of this movie. It's got a very heavy-handed message about Big Pharma. And honestly, I get what they're saying, but it's going to fall on deaf ears, and they're preaching to the crowd. Everybody who already knows the issues with Big Pharma and American healthcare in general, we already got the message. We've been saying it for years. And then all the other people that haven't gotten that message, they're not going to pay attention. That's the same issue I had with Don't Look Up back in, 2021. The messaging of what that movie was going, it was falling on deaf ears, and it was preaching to the converted already. So, yeah, very heavy-handed in the messaging. Like I said, those of us who get it already got it, and those of the people that haven't gotten it yet or won't get it, you're not changing anybody's minds. So, yeah, that's one of my biggest issues with this movie. So, on to the final thoughts. I was disappointed in this movie. I didn't hate it, but I wanted to like it. And it was a very middle-of-the-road movie, unfortunately. Death of a Unicorn is a very disappointing movie. I wanted to love it, did not love it, and I could only give it a 5 out of 10. So that was my thoughts on Death of a Unicorn. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about this movie, if you've seen it. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.